Being a point guard in basketball may seem glamorous, but it's one of the most demanding roles on the court. Point guards call plays, score the offense, and create openings for teammates with precise passes and ball handling. Despite their efforts, shots often miss. And when a no-look pass off the backboard fails, they get blamed for every loss, but half the credit for wins. So, what makes this position so tough? Let's get into it. Always under pressure. Serving as the primary ball handler in basketball creates significant mental pressure on a player. People often call the point guard the coach on the floor or the brain of the team, and this makes sense because they have a unique mental job compared to other players. Every time the team has the ball, the point guard has to think about everything happening in the game quickly. They need to watch the time on the shot clock, understand what the defense is doing, remember the team's plays, keep track of the score and how fast the game is going, and make sure all their teammates are where they need to be. This isn't just doing many things at once. It's making fast decisions under pressure again and again for most of the game. If a point guard loses focus, even for a moment, it can really hurt the team, like giving the ball away or missing a chance to score. They can't really relax mentally during the game. When the game is close and important, this pressure gets even stronger. Even though the player who takes the last shot might get all the attention, it's often the point guard who planned the whole play. They decide if the team should play faster or slower, and choose the best play based on what they see happening in that instant. Research has shown that the best point guards can think and react faster and are more aware of what's going on around them. But this constant mental work takes a toll. Studies in the NBA have found that point guards have higher levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, during games compared to players at other positions. A famous point guard, Jason Kidd, once said that his mind would keep racing after games, thinking about different plays long after the game was over. The mental pressure doesn't stop when the game ends. Point guards are known for watching a lot of game film. They spend hours looking at how other teams play defense and figuring out how to make better decisions. Players like Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo are famous for how much they study the game, making preparation a key part of what they do. The mental tiredness, the need to guide and talk clearly to teammates when things are chaotic, and the constant need to think strategically all add up to make the point guard's job more than just physically demanding. It's a daily test of how mentally tough they are. You could argue that it's the most mentally challenging role in all of sports. No room for error. For point guards, mistakes carry a weight beyond personal failure. They are public and can dramatically alter the game's flow. Unlike a center's unnoticed defensive lapse, a point guard's turnover is often immediately obvious and impactful. A poorly thrown pass, especially near the three-point line, can trigger a fast break for the opposing team, resulting in easy scores. NBA data reveals that turnovers committed by point guards lead to fast break points for the opposition approximately 68% of the time, a significantly higher rate compared to turnovers by players in other positions. This heightened visibility stems from the fact that point guards handle the ball more frequently than any other player. Consequently, every pass, dribble, and decision they make is amplified, and a single error can disrupt an offensive possession or create an instant scoring chance for the opposing team. Coaches and fans often expect near-perfect execution in ball handling, playmaking, and decision-making from this position. Even minor errors, such as misinterpreting a defensive switch or overlooking an open teammate, are frequently dissected in post-game analysis, placing additional pressure on the point guard to perform without flaw. This constant examination extends to how point guards are evaluated, particularly through statistics like the assist-to-turnover ratio. Analysts meticulously track every mistake a point guard makes, holding them to a level of scrutiny unmatched by any other position. Even highly efficient point guards, like Chris Paul, with his impressive career 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, face ongoing criticism for any misstep. The psychological burden of this intense scrutiny is substantial. Point guards must cultivate resilience and the ability to forget errors, as every mistake is immediately magnified quickly. They need to recover mentally from errors instantly because the next offensive play is always imminent. The fear of making a mistake can sometimes induce hesitation, paradoxically leading to more errors. a negative cycle that only the most mentally strong players can overcome. Furthermore, the impact of a turnover extends beyond the individual point guard, affecting the team's morale and overall performance. A single mistake can demoralize teammates while simultaneously energizing the opposition. The double-edged sword of leadership. Leadership is a fundamental and unavoidable part of the point guard's role. Unlike other positions where individual skill can shine in silence, point guards must be vocal leaders, constantly commanding respect and navigating complex team dynamics. They are expected to be the team's floor general, orchestrating the offense, setting the emotional tone, and holding teammates accountable. This dual responsibility requires not only basketball IQ, but also a rare blend of assertiveness, empathy, and the ability to manage personalities. On the court, point guards direct traffic, call plays, and make real-time adjustments based on the flow of the game. Off the court, they act as a liaison between the coach and the players, translating strategy and ensuring unity. This role is both visible and invisible. Point guards are responsible for executing the coach's game plan flawlessly, while also improvising when things break down, requiring a deep understanding of their teammates' strengths, weaknesses, and personalities. UCLA senior Tiger Campbell expressed his thoughts. "I'd say being a point guard is all about being selfless and being an extension of the coach on court. I like to be on court, relaying coach's messages and checking on everybody, making sure they're good, kind of just playing outside of myself and worrying about the guy next to me while still I'm trying to add those things of getting myself going and just try to add on to my game some." However, the pressure of this leadership role is immense. Point guards are often held to higher standards than other players, expected to lead by example in both effort and attitude. When the team struggles, they're the first to be questioned about leadership and chemistry. They must balance being demanding with being supportive, knowing when to push and when to encourage. This creates an emotional burden that can be isolating as their leadership is scrutinized from all directions. This burden becomes even heavier with superstar teammates. While point guards must defer to scoring leaders, they are still responsible for directing the offense. They can make perfect decisions and set teammates up in ideal positions, but if shots don't fall, their leadership is still questioned. Unlike points or rebounds, there's no stat for managing team dynamics or maintaining morale through a losing streak. This invisible work is often the hallmark of a great point guard, but is rarely recognized. Ultimately, leadership for a point guard is a double-edged sword. They are celebrated when things go well, but often blamed when they don't. The constant pressure to maintain composure and balance the needs of the team while navigating their responsibilities makes their role both rewarding and relentlessly challenging. Facing the opponent's best defenders. Point guards are the primary targets of opposing defenses, facing a unique gauntlet that few other positions experience. As the main ball handlers, they are subjected to relentless physical and mental pressure from the moment they receive the ball, often facing full-court presses, traps, and aggressive on-ball defense. This constant harassment aims to disrupt the offense before it even begins, forcing turnovers, rushing decisions, and eroding the point guard's confidence. Point guards face full-court pressure on approximately 23% of possessions, more than triple the rate of any other position. While power forwards might start their offensive plays at the elbow, point guards are already navigating 70 feet of defensive resistance just to initiate the offense. Elite defenders are specifically deployed to make life difficult for point guards. Players like Tony Allen, Avery Bradley, and Marcus Smart are known for their ability to study, exploit weaknesses, and use psychological tactics to break the point guard's concentration. Defensive specialists like Raja Bell even admitted to using subtle jersey pulls, trash talk, and extra physical contact to destabilize the point guard's mental composure. The physical toll of this constant pressure is immense. Point guards typically cover 2.5 to 3 miles per game, often being pursued the entire time. This relentless defensive focus not only increases the likelihood of fatigue-related injuries, but also tends to shorten a point guard's career compared to wing players with similar athletic profiles. Additionally, modern NBA defenses employ sophisticated strategies like blitzing and trapping, designed to force the ball out of the point guard's hands in uncomfortable situations. Teams like the Miami Heat under Eric Spoelstra pioneered these aggressive defensive systems, sending two defenders at the point guard in pick-and-roll scenarios and forcing split-second decisions under extreme duress. Unlike centers who can use their size as a defensive advantage, point guards must rely on skill, intelligence, and mental toughness to overcome this constant barrage of pressure. Every possession becomes a test of endurance, focus, and poise, qualities that make facing the opponent's best defenders a nightly ordeal for point guards. Juggling scoring and passing. One of the toughest challenges for a point guard is finding the right balance between scoring and facilitating. Point guards are expected to create opportunities for teammates, setting up shooters, big men, and cutters, while also being able to take control of the offense and score, especially when the team is struggling or the shot clock is running down. This dual responsibility creates a constant paradox. If a point guard focuses too much on passing, defenses will sag off, clogging up passing lanes and slowing down the offense. I realized that being a point guard, you need to do a little bit of everything. If they need you to score, you need to score. If they need you to facilitate at that moment, you have to facilitate. If they need you to just play your role, you have to do whatever it takes. On the other hand, if they become too aggressive looking for their shot, it can disrupt the team's rhythm and alienate teammates. Coaches and fans are quick to criticize point guards for failing to find the right balance, often labeling them as either selfish or too deferential, depending on the result. The difficulty is compounded by the need to read the flow of the game. Great point guards can recognize when a teammate is hot and should be fed the ball, but they must also know when to take over and inject themselves into the offense. This requires a high level of basketball IQ, self-awareness, and trust from both teammates and coaches. Every possession is a judgment call, and the margin for error is slim. The ability to juggle these competing demands is what separates good point guards from great ones. This paradox is further evident in the evaluation of point guards. If they score too much, they're criticized for playing more like a shooting guard. If they pass too much, analysts question their killer instinct and assertiveness. Point guards often face a perpetual identity crisis, trying to meet an impossible standard that changes depending on how much they score or facilitate. Point guards also show the highest variance in efficiency based on their usage rate. Centers, for example, often maintain consistent efficiency regardless of their shot attempts. But point guards experience dramatic swings in efficiency when toggling between being a facilitator and a scorer. This makes sustainable excellence in the position uniquely difficult. When a point guard drives to the basket, they must quickly decide whether to shoot, pass to a rolling big man, kick out to a corner shooter, or reset the offense, all while defenders collapse and the shot clock winds down. Even legendary point guards faced criticism over this balance. Magic Johnson was criticized early in his career for being too passive, while Allen Iverson faced the opposite issue, being labeled as too focused on scoring. Both ultimately reached the Hall of Fame, which highlights the subjective nature of what constitutes good point guard play. In modern basketball, point guards face conflicting directives. They must generate efficient scoring opportunities for teammates while also attacking the rim to pressure defenses. This creates goals that are often at odds with each other. Additionally, point guards typically experience more contentious contract negotiations than other positions, as their contributions are harder to quantify. The question of whether a point guard averaging 18 points and 6 assists is more valuable than one with 14 points and 9 assists remains subjective, creating ongoing uncertainty about what defines success at the position. Perhaps most frustratingly, this balance is recalibrated game by game. Against certain defenses, aggressive scoring might be the best option, while against others, facilitating is the priority. Point guards must possess the emotional intelligence to read both defenses and their teammates' confidence levels, adjusting their approach accordingly, a level of adaptability that is required of no other position. High risk of injury. The physical demands on point guards are immense, and they face a unique vulnerability that has only recently been quantified by statistical analysis. Despite typically being the smallest players on the court, point guards absorb more punishment than almost any other position. They are constantly pushing the pace, changing directions, and absorbing contact from defenders, making their bodies prone to injury, especially in the knees, ankles, and lower back. Point guards change direction more frequently than any other player, averaging 60 to 80 sharp directional shifts per game. Each cut and sudden stop strains their ligaments and tendons, increasing the risk of ankle sprains and muscle strains. In fact, point guards suffer ankle injuries at nearly double the rate of centers, despite being more agile. The constant movement, especially when navigating screens during pick-and-roll defense, exposes point guards to 15 to 20 significant collisions per game, with players who often outweigh them by 50-plus pounds. The vertical demands of the position are also punishing. Although point guards typically stand around 6 feet 2 inches, they often face much taller players at the rim, leading to awkward landings and mid-air collisions. This contributes to a higher rate of lumbar spine injuries compared to other perimeter players. Additionally, the cumulative effect of these demands, whether from acute injuries or nagging issues like tendinitis, leads to fatigue and decreases explosiveness and effectiveness. Beyond the physical injuries, point guards are also at high risk for burnout. The grind of an 82-game NBA season or a packed college schedule leaves little time for recovery, putting constant strain on their bodies. Even with load management strategies, studies have shown that rest during the regular season does not always reduce injury risk or improve playoff performance, highlighting the taxing nature of the position. The combination of physical exhaustion and mental stress can lead to slower reaction times and diminished decision-making ability. Sacrificing the spotlight. When things go wrong, the point guard is frequently the first to be blamed. If the offense stagnates, if turnovers pile up, or if the team loses a close game, the spotlight shifts quickly from the stars to the one running the show. This scapegoat status can be frustrating, as point guards are held accountable for outcomes that are often the result of collective breakdowns or missed opportunities by others. The lack of recognition can be demoralizing, especially when point guards sacrifice their scoring opportunities to get others involved or make the right play instead of the flashy one. Their selflessness is rarely celebrated, and their mistakes are magnified. This dynamic creates a thankless environment, where the point guard's best games are often the ones that go unnoticed, and their worst games are remembered for all the wrong reasons. Endless adaptation. Every game presents a new challenge for point guards, who must constantly decipher and adapt to opposing defenses. Whether facing man-to-man pressure, aggressive trapping, or shifting zone defenses, point guards are always the primary target. The burden of adaptation on their shoulders is unmatched by any other position, creating a constant chess match that demands intellectual flexibility and high-level processing. Point guards must quickly recognize defensive schemes, anticipate rotations, and identify weak spots, all in real time. Their ability to process information on the fly is crucial. They must read the positioning, body language, and tendencies of defenders, all while scanning the broader defensive setup. This requires an exceptional basketball IQ and the ability to exploit mismatches with the shot clock ticking down. The best point guards are often students of the game, spending hours studying film to counter various defensive strategies. But even with preparation, the in-game challenges are relentless. Defenses, especially those employed by teams like the Toronto Raptors under Nick Nurse, are more complex than ever. Hybrid zones, matchup switches, and trap variations change multiple times within a single possession, forcing point guards to make instantaneous adjustments. Failure to do so can result in turnovers, missed opportunities, and stalled possessions. The mental demand on point guards is immense. Eye-tracking studies reveal that they make significantly more visual fixations than other players, constantly scanning the defense for structural weaknesses. They must simultaneously track 9 other moving players while identifying opportunities that exist for less than a second. This constant need for adaptation leaves little room for complacency. The point guard's performance is a direct reflection of their ability to outthink and outmaneuver the defense, making the position one of perpetual adjustment and strategic evolution. Carrying the team's success. The expectations placed on point guards are immense, comparable to those of quarterbacks in football. They are expected to be the most aware, the most prepared, and ultimately responsible for the team's fate. Every win or loss is seen as a reflection of their leadership, decision-making, and ability to execute under pressure. This immense weight of expectation can be overwhelming. Point guards are judged not only on their performance, but also on the overall success of the team. If the offense is clicking and the team is winning, they are praised for their poise and vision. However, if the team struggles, the blame often falls squarely on their shoulders, regardless of the circumstances. The scrutiny is constant, from coaches, teammates, fans, and the media. Point guards are expected to set the standard for work ethic and preparation, often being the first in the gym and the last to leave. They must know the playbook inside and out, anticipate the opponent's moves, and make real-time adjustments. The pressure to perform in clutch moments, whether it's making a game-winning play or simply keeping the team composed during a run, can be immense. The burden of expectations creates a psychological pressure that transcends normal competitive stress. Quantitative analysis of media coverage reveals that when teams underperform, criticism of the point guard appears approximately 3.2 times more frequently than criticism of other positions. This relentless scrutiny fundamentally alters how point guards experience both the game and their careers. This responsibility is both a privilege and a burden. The best point guards embrace the challenge, using it as motivation to elevate their game and inspire their teammates. However, for those unprepared for the constant demand for perfection, the weight of these expectations can be crushing. Carrying the team's success is the ultimate test of skill, resilience, and character for point guards. So point guards carry the weight of the team's success, but when things fall apart, they're the first to take the heat. The life of a point guard is a constant grind, physically and mentally. So next time you see a point guard on the court, remember, it's a tough job, and they're doing a lot more than just running the offense. What's the toughest part of being a point guard in your opinion? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more sports videos.